over the weekend, Robert Whittaker, impressive win of Kelvin Gastelum. We have the 170 title that's going to be defended this weekend, Masvidal and Usman. We'll get to that in a little bit, but I want to use that fight in particular as an example with what I'm going to say here. Robert Whittaker, a couple of years ago, undisputed champ, he fights Adesanya, gets knocked out in the second round. He doesn't bitch and moan and say, I wanted the immediate rematch. He goes in the back of the line, fights his way back, beats Till, beats Cannonier, beats Gastelum. Rightfully so, he deserves the title shot now, no? Because he did it that way. As opposed to why I mentioned 170 is Covington wants an immediate rematch. I know he fought Woodley after that, but Masvidal hasn't fought since July. Yeah. Gilbert Burns was making a claim for it too. Well, Gilbert Burns because of the COVID thing and whatnot, but it's like no one. Leon doesn't want to fight. Also, like it seems like 170 was pretty stagnant. No one wanted to fight. But like Whittaker, man, should he be an example of what it should be like if you lose?
How you approach? Yeah, because how long he was champion? Because when GSP beat Bisping 2017, then GSP retired, middleweight title became vacant. Did he become champion like 2018 when he beat Romero?
Romero the first time.
Romero beat Rattled.
Yeah. Then he defended it against Romero the second time. And then he lost to Adesanya.
Right.
So he had one title defense.
Yeah, he didn't have a long title reign, but I just think people respect Whittaker so much because he's so durable and he's just like a real complete fighter. Like he could really, there's no real flaw in his repertoire. Like he is someone that just consistently brings it. Phenomenal striker, very good grappler, and he's just in terms of like cardio wise as good as it gets. And he's just someone like people love that name, the Bobby Knuckles moniker. Like who doesn't love that? So yeah, he's just someone. Put your head down and just get back after. And I think he's just someone that really embraces fighting. Like he's just someone that really want to get because he's had some pretty major losses in his life, and he's also had health issues. So I think he's someone just like, let me just go back to proving myself and just beating one by one. Like because if you say you're the best, just prove it. I know it sounds very cliche, but some fighters really just have to start embracing. Like, get these 5-round fights in because it'll just help you ultimately because your title fight's going to be 5 rounds. So that could help you cardio-wise. And even though I feel like you didn't really need it because when you fight Yoel Romero for 50 minutes, like you're as battle-tested as it gets in my book. And for him to come back now and beat 3 contenders, phenomenal.
Isn't it interesting that people were saying how those wars with Romero took years off Whittaker's life, sort of like in the fight game, and how he was, durability issues and whatnot. It's like, man, I think, and he's my favorite fighter in the UFC. It's weird because my 2 favorite fighters in the UFC are rivals, Adesanya and Whittaker. But with Whittaker, he had one bad round against Adesanya. Right. Everywhere else, he's sort of dominated everybody. And yeah, the Romero Whittaker 2, a lot of people felt like Romero might have won. And you know what? I won't lie to you. You could sell me on that. Yeah. But over the weekend was the first time where he kind of grabbed the mic. He's not a promo guy. He's very class act. And he was like, hey, man, I think it's time we have that conversation. Like, I think I deserve it now. And then you had Marvin Vettori coming off the win of Kevin Holland. He was supposed to fight Darren Till also. He still lives off the idea that he won that fight against Adesanya. Super durable guy, the Italian stallion. What do you do with him? What do you do at 185?
I would eventually like to see Vettori fight Till when it could happen. I think that's a really good styles matchup. I think it's a great test for both fighters. Like Whittaker's proved himself at this point. Yeah, he didn't have much to prove, but the fact that he's won now 3, it's just like, give it to him. Like, and you understand, MMA, in most cases, fighters will lose. Fighters will get knocked out. Fighters will get finished. It's just the nature of the sport. Like, there's going to be times where they lose a close decision or they get caught. Like, it's just, the sport's so unpredictable.
Right. What happened? What happened in combat sports? Because I blame Mayweather for this. Mayweather made being undefeated the be-all, end-all, where now if you have one loss, you're a bum. You've lost 2 times.
You don't think it's more of a boxing thing? I know boxing and MMA kind of intertwined, but I think people accept within MMA, like, fighters will lose.
Yeah, you're right. I do think it's more of a boxing thing. But I also think, like, when you talk about, like, the GOAT, right? People are like, oh, it's Khabib because he's never lost. John Jones has the 1 loss, even though he was up on the scorecards. I think he even had a 10-8 round.
No, disqualified.
Yeah, he got disqualified, but he was, like, up. Like,
he was dominating.
He was dominating it. My personal GOAT, I think, is GSP. right? GSP, all his losses he avenged, which is like the ultimate thing in martial arts, right? Like you lose to someone, you come back, you regroup, you regain plan, and then you beat him the other time. And it's just weird how I feel like in combat sports, like now McGregor is in there. There's a black eye in his career because he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. Like he's also lost to top guys. He's not losing to jobbers.
That's what people forget about. It's like, you know how many, like, per division, you know how many top class fighters there are? Like, you're fighting these 5-round fights, damage is gonna be taken, and who knows when you get finished, you just get clipped once. Who knows? Like, the sport's just so unpredictable. Like, that's why it's when you see someone at the top of their game for so long, like they have the sustained greatness. Like you have to admire a person. Like not to bring up Stipe, but Stipe's another one. Like I understand why there's talk about Ngannou Jones, and that should be the fight. Don't get me wrong, but it's like we're gonna just write off Stipe now. Like this guy didn't break records and do things that no heavyweight's ever done before. So I just think you have to look at guys like Stipe and Max Holloway and Robert Whittaker, and just take more time to acknowledge them.